Welcome back to my channel. I am Angie Bug, and this is time for another channeled message. Another channeled message from Joy. Um, Tonight has been great for me. Battling a little bit of headache, but everything is on this beautiful energy level where I feel connected to everyone and everything, and that everything is truly right in the world. And those moments, you need to remember what they feel like when they feel like that way for you. You got to remember what they feel like so that when you lose focus on those, you can go back to that feeling. It's like, what did that feel like exactly? What did that feel like exactly? So you can grasp onto that feeling. Again, they're your emotions. You can have them. So we started out by drawing a rune, and I will step aside and let Joy speak. Hello, hello. Yes, we have drawn a rune to begin with for the in general message. And the in general message is about flow. And it was funny because I was thinking about flow and how Angela deals in dealing with changing her mindset about financial security. And she repeats over and over again, I'm in my flow. But we want to ask you, what is your flow? What does flow feel like for you? You've got to determine that. What does being in your flow mean to you? Feel like to you? Because again, to co-create, it's a feeling. So what does that feel like to you? Make note of what that feels like to you. Get into that emotion, the emotion of feeling like you're in your flow. Study it. Try to see every aspect of it so that when you lose it next time, because it does get lost in the other emotions, you can move right back to your flow. Move right back into your flow. Move right back into your flow. So you say something is not you off your flow, and you go, that's not my flow. My flow is here. My flow is not back here in the worries and the concerns and the comparisons and all of the other things that the human body will do. Let the human body, let the human mind, and you pay attention to how you feel when your mind is minding. If it's minding in a way that is inappropriate to you, who you are, reprogram that mind to mind in a different way. It might take some time, but you can do it. And it doesn't mean you're a failure if you slide back a little bit. Just bring yourself back to your center. Bring yourself back to your original intent. Bring yourself back to your divine. Bring yourself back to your divine. That is where your flow is. And remind yourself, when you connect to your divine, you are indeed in your flow. You're in your flow. And act like it. Feel like it. And then everything will ripple out from the inside out. But you have to feel what that flow feels like to you. Feel what the flow feels like to you. Again, one more time. Feel what the flow feels like to you. Once you've determined that, you can bring yourself back to that center. And when you're in your flow, my guess is it'll be joy and happiness that you feel when you're actually in your flow. And so bring yourself back to your center of joy. And what joy feels like to you, well, we can't tell you what it feels like to you. You have to feel it. So remember, feel it. Feel it. Breathe in every aspect of it so that when you are knocked from it, you can return to it fairly easily. Let's look at the next rune. That the energy, that the unified consciousness, the all has to say, Hagalaz, And see, sometimes, as we were talking about being knocked off your center, off your flow, that's could be a hoggle eyes. Now, sometimes they are rerouting opportunities. So you've been on this flow for so long, but maybe you're limited your flow because you have limited mindset of what your flow should be. And so maybe you should rethink that flow and what it should be and expand that to not limit what the flow itself can be. You know, sometimes they come as big disruptions. Sometimes it's just seeking connection, seeking internal advice. So now I'm going to read what Ralph Bloom had to say about this, so you guys know a little further what we are trying to communicate, because it's always good to use the words of people who have already been inspired by their own divine self. And this man, Ralph Bloom, Angel Man, of course, he was inspired to renumber them and think them up and more of think of them as more in conjunction with spirituality than just a communication tool between peoples, but a communication tool for themselves, and with a communication tool for self to self. This, for his way of thinking, is a communication tool for self to self, trying to determine what your divine self wants of you. Now, the ultimate goal is to feel and hear the divine self without having to use these. But these are good tools, just like the tarot, in order to understand the signs and symbolisms through that you may be receiving during your time of transformation, during your time of seeking where next is the perfect alignment for yourself, because you will have to reassess as you go through more changes, as you grow even more into your divine being. Freedom. So this is a disruption, elemental power, hell. So change, freedom, invention, and liberation are all attributes of this rune. Drawing it indicates a pressing need within the psyche to break free from the constricting identifications with the material reality and to experience the world of the archetypal mind. And that is what Angie, when she draws a daily rune, most of the time, and when she draws this one, she thinks about, I'm going to see the archetypal mind. Sometimes since it works in reversals, sometimes it can't be avoided that disruption happens in another mode besides just her seeking this attachment, this freedom of the archetypal mind. The rune of elemental disruption of events that seem to be totally beyond your control. Hagalaz has only an upright position, and yet it always operates through reversals. When you draw this rune, expect disruption, for it is the great awakener. Like, say, out of the blue, you're going along your lines, just like Angela was in 2021, and all of a sudden, out of your control, you have lost the position, your financial stability, because of someone else's decision, right? It's hard to see how you call that to yourself. She was working in a position where she was working for a company that is outside of the United States. She was teaching Chinese children, and when they made it illegal for the companies to use them without the teacher themselves coming to China, she lost that position. And while she didn't bring that upon herself, disruption is a great awakener. She was already discovering that new part of herself, her new condition, which wasn't as, didn't fit well with the teaching position she had. So she had to go ahead and change what she felt about what her career paths, some of the other ones that while she's waiting on the creative stuff to start making her money, might be. Excuse me. Although the form of the awakening takes may vary, perhaps you will experience a gradual feeling of coming to your senses, as though you are emerging from a deep sleep. Then again, the onset of power may be such to rip away the fabric of what you previously knew, your reality, your security, your understanding of yourself, your work, and your relationships or beliefs. And this was the period that Angie was going through in 2021 when the condition hit her, and it was beyond what she understood could happen to a human being. Disruption takes many forms. The relationships fail, plans go awry, source of supply dries up. In that case, with the job, the source of supply dried up. But do not be dismayed, whether you created the disruption or whether it comes from an outside source. You are not without power in this situation. Your inner strength, the will you have funded it until now in your life, provides support and guidance at a time where everything you've taken for granted is being challenged. So that will that you have funded, that is your divine will. That is your divine will. And it is fully funded. So it will it will provide support even in major periods of growth. Even in these major periods of growth where it seems like your world has turned upside down, the will that you find through your divine will be a stabilization process. It will a stabilization tool. It will be a foundation on which you can stand when it seems like all else has failed you. Another of the cycle runes, the term radical discontinuity, best describes the action of Hagalaz at its most forceful. The more severe the disruption in your life, the more significant and timely the requirements of your growth. The universe and your own soul are demanding that you do indeed grow. And yes, we will, and we have found up until now that the frustrations and the obstacles and all of these small growth opportunities along the way has made us ripe human beings as individuals, the new humans, to take on the unimaginable, the things that haven't yet been brought into form, right? Some people, they imagine things and they think that nothing's unimaginable, and it isn't. It's the how it gets there, how the unknown is the path. How, okay, I see a day of this, and the unknown is what are all the little vortexes or little places that you have to stop along the way before you get to that goal. And now each of these goals, except for aligning with the divine, are finite goals. But you might have an infinite goal in mind of just living your life in the 5D. And you might find yourself having 100 million other goals because you are living in the 5D and keep getting opportunities to live out your dreams, your fantasies, the things that you want. But sometimes remember when it comes up and you seem to be knocked off your center of your flow, remember these two are rerouting opportunities. These are opportunities of you for you to learn more how to love yourself, more how to understand where your angel needs you to go, and how to make these divine yes decisions. You'll look back when you do find the opportunity or need or see a memory, you will look back and see how one thing led to another, even though while you were experiencing it, you may not have seen the connection. And let's go for one more room. Okay, to guys. And see, these disruptions, if you connect yourself to the numinous, to the divine, and think about those things that are beyond when you're in a time of turmoil. And I don't mean just live in them, I mean think about them, feel them, understand that you've been through many of these disruptions, and therefore the breakthroughs. This is breakthrough to guys, the breakthroughs that we seek spiritually. So sometimes we give ourselves and have given ourselves a very hard thing to go through, a very hard and challenging thing for our human to deal with. As angels, that's what we do. It's what we do. My sister, she's had many challenges in her life. Everyone does it, even with the best life, because when she looks back on her life, it would, despite all of the troubles and pains, it was a very happy life. It didn't negate the happiness, because there were some things she had to undergo or suffer in order to grow. It makes the love, it makes those happy times that they were able to achieve all the sweeter, because there was some struggle to receive it, to get there. So now we're in a time where you don't need it to be sweetened up like that. You need to realize there's no need to struggle anymore. You have gone through cycle enough. Drop what is not appropriate to who you are. And laugh. Have fun. Play. 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 Just play. That's what we're here to do. You will grow as much or more by those creative playthings that you do as you did by all the struggle. Yes, struggle has its uses, but this is the new energy that is being brought in by the new human. You will learn as much, if not more, from cooperating and loving yourself than you do from all the struggles that you have had yet to now. Now, I love you, and I think on the end of the guys, I'm not going to read it because I think we've read it before. We'll probably go over it again at some point. But we want you to have this breakthrough with yourself. You don't have to live your life like you're not worthy, like some being is judging you of less worth or worthless. That being would be yourself. What we're asking you to do is to find your true self on the inside who doesn't judge you as worthless. The true self on the inside knows your worth and will show it through its actions if you listen to its pullings of your heart. If you'll listen to its pullings of your heart. Now I'm going to draw back and let Angie out. Out like I was in a cage. I was just sitting there listening. I really love doing this. I don't know how to explain it. I really don't. The connection, the flow, the energy involved in everything. I mean, it's hard to explain. Because it's a feeling. It's something that's beyond words. We need to use our words in a good way to create our world around us, because word is powerful. But the feeling itself is beyond words. It's something you have to feel. Really being connected with your divine self is something beyond words. You can't really explain the feeling. The person knows when they get there. The angel knows when they're connected. It is something beyond words. It's a sort of completeness, a rightness that eludes you at moments when you're not connected. That's the only way I can describe it. I know that when I started, excuse me, there's a lot of cat fur around here. When I started first talking to Meriden and then Jessica and all of that, it felt right. It felt like natural, like I'd been doing it for 100 years. And the same thing with the condition when it came on me. It didn't feel unusual. It felt like who I was. I was just confused by it because it didn't fit the patterns that I was used to. Like when channeling the angels, hearing them speak, I know logically that I was not consciously hearing them speak until 2021. But because of things being the are and collapsing of time, it feels like I've been doing it forever. And that would I would say would be one of the keys to look for as how I look for it. Something that is definitely like a yes to you and part of your divine path. You'll probably start feeling pretty quickly, even if it's just something that you just learned about, like you've been doing it all your life. Even though your logic mind minds and says you haven't been. And I would say when you find those things where you feel like, oh wow, I feel like I've been doing this so long, or it feels like it fits me like a glove, you glom onto those things. You you were made for it, and that's the sense that I use to go. Well, is this truly something that's innate in me and in my angel? Does it feel like I've been doing it forever, or that I was created to do that thing? And it's a fun way of finding out about yourself and learning to love life. Because life loves you. Because life is love. Life loves you. You need to learn it. Love it back. And I am going to continue loving my life back. And I think that I will leave this here. Remember, you're in the flow. But when you are, if you find a disruption from that flow, attach yourself to the numinous, to the divine, to your inner self, and then you will find the breakthrough that you need to accomplish whatever goals or feel more certain or better about whatever particular situation is causing you to go inward like that, or causing you to feel your flow reverse. Well, I thank you guys. I love you guys. Comment, like, subscribe, all of that jazz. If you ever want to talk, leave a comment. Just let me know, and I'll give you a way to communicate with me better than just the comments. I don't know. Maybe I'll try to make sure my email's linked. I think in some of the videos, like some of my first videos of this year, there's a link. But I'll make sure that I link to Patreon, to an email and stuff, so that if you really want to get in contact with me, you can. I will see you guys next time. Bye. Love you, blessed emissaries, you blessed angels.